Hey guys, you may have noticed that the channel name is changing to Mizrapah, and I just wanted to explain that. You know that story in the Bible where the guy keeps digging wells, and then the people living there take over the wells, and he's like, alright, that's alright, I'm just gonna dig another well. And he digs another well, and then that well gets taken over too, and he's like, that's no worries, I'll just dig another well. Well, so even though I've been using the name Heart and Field since 2018 on other platforms, not YouTube, and even though I own heartandfield.com, it seems that there is a company that has just started using the name Heart and Field. And rather than go into some kind of court battle around it or try to claim it, I'm just going to let them have it because it so happens that they are a farm. And Heart and Field is a great name for a farm, and I'm sure that they thought of it independently of me, and they probably have no idea who I am. So I'm just going to let go of this name. So I'm not really sure why they didn't do like a simple domain check before they started doing business. But I am just going to dig another well. And now I'm changing the name of my channel to Mizrapah. And that may seem like the most random jumble of letters because it kind of is. It's based on a few things. So there's the name of this altar in the Bible called Mizpah, and the one who makes it says, "May God watch between me and you." So if you look up the name Mizpah, it means watchtower, but it's really an altar that was set up as a testament between two people. And then the other part of it, Mizrapah, if you take the end of it in Hebrew, Rapha is spelled the same way as Rapha, and Rapha means healing. I think Mizrap means plucked instrument in Turkish, or like something to do with like a guitar pick, or I don't know. So that kind of fits too. And Mizra, just by itself, is a really lovely form of art. But Mizrapah, even though it's a jumble of letters, is kind of all those meanings stacked together. So art, stringed instruments, the watchtower idea kind of goes along with being a watchman on the wall. So this channel will basically stay the same. I'm just going to keep sharing music and art and dreams as God gives them to me. Do I have a dream to share with you? Yes, I do. This dream is from back on October 11th this year. And I wrote it down in my journal, so that's what I'm going to be reading from. I went to a local flower stand, but it was abandoned. There were a bunch of bouquets, but they were dry and dead. There was also a big dried dahlia arch lying on the table, also dead. I saw two stems of something in a little side stand that were alive. I considered buying the single stem of what looked like dogwood for $9. Then suddenly, I was in charge of this flower stand. We were hanging up the dead flower arch for someone's wedding. Then I realized maybe flowers were scarce or wouldn't grow in this weird situation in the time I was in. And so this dried flower arch was actually considered fancy and expensive. So we took the flowers to the wedding, and during the wedding there was special music. About 20 men came up dressed in black. Chris Pratt was one of them. He was wearing a nice black t-shirt and one of those fancy, thick silver crosses. And a note about Chris Pratt being in this dream. I was having a conversation a day before this dream that Chris Pratt was kind of like Jesus in a way. Like, his features are kind of plain, no disrespect, but he's handsome because he's a kind person. Do you know what I mean? Like, someone may look kind of average looking, but they look more beautiful or more handsome because they're so nice, you know? And so I had been talking with someone the day before. I wonder if that's what the Bible means when it's saying that Jesus wasn't handsome. You know, like he had nothing about him that would attract you to him. Maybe he was just average looking, like Chris Pratt, but because he was so kind, you know, that's what made Jesus attractive. 'Cause I kind of feel like, based on the pictures we have, paintings, Jesus is not really unattractive. So I've always kind of wondered about that. Anyway, so Chris Pratt was in this dream and he was kind of symbolic of Jesus. So these 20 guys come to the front, and then all of these tall, skinny, fake black Christmas trees started popping out on stage as the men were walking up. They were creepy, but kind of in an elegant way, like sparkly black Christmas trees. And then a worried blonde woman, maybe 50 or 60 years old, she asked quietly, "How much did you pay for all this?" I mean, I think she's sitting in the audience, and she was asking a guy, I assume her husband. Anyway, yeah, it was a question of financial worry, but also just poor taste. So she's like, yeah, I mean, like, this is very over the top, very expensive, but also, ugh. Why do we have these black Christmas trees at a wedding? The men began to sing, "Let all mortal flesh keep silence," in perfect fifths, adding to the general creepiness of the whole vibe of this wedding. And it was in a big cathedral. I think I forgot to mention that. Like a big white or off-white, like marble-ish cathedral. I'm going to include a link to this music that I found here on YouTube of "Let All Mortal Flesh Keep Silent." It sounds pretty close to how it was, although in the dream it was creepier. Like it was really parallel fifths. Very like Gregorian chant, but creepy on purpose. But if you read the lyrics of that hymn, it's all about Jesus' return. And so, actually, even though it was a bit of a creepy dream with all the dead flowers and black Christmas trees, it was cool. They say a watched pot never boils. So, Jesus, I have a question. Why did you tell us to watch the pot? That's all. Maranatha.